friends, it's Miss Kimball. Today I want to do some learning with you on something called poems. Can you practice that word with me? Poems. Good, now try it once on your own. Awesome. We are going to learn today that poems have some special features. Let's practice that word together. Features. Awesome. Features are something that helps you identify what something is. So if we are learning about poems, a special feature of a poem is a rhyme. There are many rhymes inside of a poem. Let's learn the definition of what a rhyme is. Words that sound the same at the end. Awesome, let's read that together. Words that sound the same at the end. And we're going to do something special with our bodies that we remember that. Ready? Rhymes. Words that sound the same at the end. Let's try that together again to really help our brains remember what it means for something to rhyme. Rhymes. Words that sound the same at the end. And that will help us really be able to identify words that we can hear in poems or in songs or even just when people are talking in English. So let's look at some rhymes that might be familiar to us. This is a picture of a hat. And this is a picture of a cat. Go ahead and practice those words, friends. Hat, cat. Now, we can hear that those words sound the same at the end. And that is because we're hearing that at sound. Let's say that again. Hat, cat. Good job. And when we write the words for these pictures, H-A-T, hat, and the letters for this picture, C-A-T, cat, we can notice that they make the same sound at the end, and even the letters match each other. And that's kind of a pattern that we can look for in English sometimes. Let's see if we can find that pattern again with these next two words that might be familiar to you. Man, can. Go ahead and practice those words with me, friends. Man, can. Good. And just like hat and cat both say at, both of these words, man and can, make the an sound. So we can spell them like this. M-A-N-C-A-N. And we are noticing that two letters in both words are the same. A-N and A-N again. So sometimes in English, words that sound the same at the end can also be spelled the same at the end, just like these words. Let's practice them one more time. Ready? I want to hear you. Hat, cat. Man, can. Those sound the same at the end, and they're spelled the same at the end. And in English, when we're practicing our reading, that's so helpful for us to identify. Uh-oh. Other times in English, it can get a little bit tricky. And what happens is that even words that sound the same at the end aren't spelled the same. And let's take a look at those. We see snail, whale. Say those words with me. Snail, whale. Those words sound the same, so they definitely rhyme. But what's tricky is that they're not spelled the same. They are spelled differently. Let's look how both of these words are spelled. Snail that when I look at those words, it might be a little harder for me to identify when I'm reading if those are a rhyming pair because they're not spelled the same. So just like we said in our definition, it's really important that we remember that for words to rhyme, they must sound the same. They have to sound the same. Sometimes it's helpful in English when they're spelled the same way, but it doesn't always have to be that way, just like snail and whale. And we can see another example down here with these two words. Let's practice these ones. Pie, sky. Go ahead and practice, friends. Pie, sky. And just like we heard with the rest of our rhyming words, both of these sound the same at the end. Good job. So let's do the spelling for these and see if they match. Uh-oh, super tricky again. We are noticing that just like snail and whale, pie and sky sound the same, but they're spelled differently. And that can be super tricky when we are reading in English. And both of these examples of rhyming words are going to be shown in our special poem today. We will see some words that are spelled with the same ending letters and they sound the same. But there's going to be another time where we hear two words that rhyme and they're not spelled the same. So you have to make sure that you're really paying attention to the sounds that you hear. So let's see if we can do it with our poem. The poem that we are learning today is called Humpty Dumpty. And this is one of my favorite poems, and I'm so excited to work on it with you today. Let's get started. I'm going to read the title of this poem, Humpty Dumpty. And in this poem, you are going to hear some words that rhyme, words that sound the same at the end. So I am going to read through this poem with you. And when I'm done, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to find those rhyming words. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Oh, poor Humpty. He fell off the wall and nobody could put him back together. I know when I read through that poem and I was listening to the words, I heard many words that sounded the same at the end. I heard words that rhymed. Did you? Good, I'm so glad. Let's see if we can find them. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. I heard it. Did you hear it? Take a minute, friends. See if you can hear it. I hope that you heard the word wall and the word fall rhyme. And just like we saw with hat and cat and man and can that are spelled the same at the end, fall and wall are also spelled the same at the end. That's so helpful to us as readers. Let's read that again so we can hear how they sound the same. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. So excited to find that in our reading. This is going to get a little bit tricky. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Another feature of a poem with words that rhyme is that sometimes it's at the end. The rhyming words are at the end of the lines in the poem, just like wall and fall are the last words in the line of the poem. Something tricky is that this word horses does not have a rhyming buddy. It doesn't have a rhyming pair. So that leaves us with two other words. Let's read it again and see if you can hear the rhyme. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. I'm hearing something. Men again. Wow, those are sounding the same, but they're not spelled the same. They're spelled differently. Just like the other words that we practice, like pie and sky and snail and whale. I'm noticing they're not spelled the same. Let's take a look at it again. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Men again. Those sound the same. So I'm going to circle those two words. And I'm reminding my brain that in English, rhyming words can sometimes be spelled the same at the end, but not always. And it's super important that we listen to the sounds. Nice job, friends. Now that our learning is all done with our rhyming, I want to teach you a fun little dance for Humpty Dumpty. Ready? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Nice job, friends. I hope that you can practice your rhyming words with other poems that you find on the internet or maybe in a fun book that you have at your house. Be sure to send them to me if you can using the comments on the Facebook page. Bye, friends. Happy learning at home.